A lioness named Farah gave birth to two tiny cubs, symbol of new life and hope after months of carefully nursing. But the joy did not last long. The mother lion's actions shocked the entire reserve. Welcome back to the next story of Animal Dream Story. Subscribe to the channel and start an interesting story right away. In the heart of a wildlife sanctuary, surrounded by vast open plains and lush trees, a lioness named Farah gave birth to two tiny cubs. For the sanctuary staff, it was a moment of triumph, a symbol of new life and hope after months of carefully nursing Farah back to health following her near-fatal illness. The staff gathered outside her enclosure, peering through the viewing window as the cubs, no larger than house cats, squirmed and whimpered against the warmth of their mother's body. But the joy was short-lived. Farah, who had always been a quiet and reserved lioness, seemed restless and distant. While the cubs mewed and nuzzled against her for milk, Farah shifted uncomfortably, pulling away. She began pacing the enclosure, her amber eyes clouded with unease. The staff watched with growing concern as Farah refused to lie down for her cubs to nurse, her movements disjointed and agitated. The team tried various approaches to encourage her natural instincts. They dimmed the lights in her enclosure to create a calmer atmosphere and played recorded lion calls to stimulate a maternal response. One keeper even left a trail of her favorite food, freshly butchered meat, leading to the cubs. But nothing worked. Farah's trauma from her past, combined with her lack of confidence as a mother, had created an emotional wall that she could not break through. Within days, the cubs began to weaken. Their tiny cries for milk and warmth echoed through the nursery, tugging at the hearts of the staff. The smallest cub, a female, struggled the most, her movements slow and lethargic. The sanctuary's vet worked tirelessly to feed them, using specially formulated milk in tiny bottles. But the process was grueling. The cubs' fragile bodies often resisted feeding, and every missed meal felt like a setback. The staff took turns cradling the cubs in blankets, trying to mimic the warmth they would have received from their mother. Despite their best efforts, concerns lingered. Without their mother's care, the cubs were at a heightened risk of infections, dehydration, and developmental delays. A lioness's grooming, warmth, and milk provide not just sustenance, but critical immune support that no formula could replicate. The team knew that even with their tireless dedication, they were only a stopgap. They needed a solution, and quickly, if the cubs were to survive and thrive. As the staff brainstormed alternatives, they noticed subtle shifts in Farah's behavior. Though she kept her distance, she began spending more time near the partition that separated her from the nursery. On one occasion, she let out a low rumble as the cubs cried, a sound that hinted at a spark of recognition. It was a glimmer of hope, but the clock was ticking, and the staff knew they couldn't rely solely on Farah's potential turnaround. They needed a plan, and they needed it fast. Desperate for a solution, the sanctuary put out a call for help, reaching out to animal shelters, breeders, and even veterinarians in nearby towns. The cubs needed not just nourishment, but the warmth and care that only a maternal figure could provide. Time was running out, and every passing hour increased the risk to their fragile lives. The staff's phones buzzed with suggestions, some practical, others far-fetched. Then, amidst the flood of responses, came a surprising offer. A local family contacted the sanctuary with an unusual proposal. Their 8-year-old German Shepherd, Callista, had recently weaned a litter of puppies and was still producing milk. Known for her gentle temperament and nurturing nature, Callista is a devoted mother to her puppies, ensuring that each one is well cared for. However, the family warned the staff of a potential problem. Callista had a notorious aversion to cats, often barking and growling at the strays that roamed their property. The sanctuary team hesitated. Would introducing her to the lion cubs be too much of a risk? With few options left, the sanctuary staff decided to proceed cautiously. Callista arrived at the sanctuary one crisp morning, her owners accompanying her to ensure a smooth transition. The shepherd's alert brown eyes scanned her new surroundings, her tail wagging with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The staff prepared a neutral meeting space, free from the scent of other animals, to reduce any stress during the introduction. The lion cubs, nestled in a warm basket, whimpered softly as Callista was brought closer. Her ears perked at the sound and she began sniffing the air, her expression curious but guarded. Slowly, the basket was placed before her. The room grew silent as Callista approached, her movements cautious. She sniffed the cubs, her wet nose lingering over their tiny heads. Her tail stiffened momentarily, and the staff held their breath, fearing rejection. The lion cubs, driven by instinct and desperation, began to nuzzle against Callista's fur, their small paws reaching out. Callista froze, her head tilting as if weighing her next move. Then, in a gesture that stunned everyone present, she lay down on the blanket beside the basket. Her body relaxed and she nudged the cubs closer with her nose. The staff watched in awe as Callista began licking them gently, her maternal instincts taking over. One by one, the cubs latched onto her, their tiny mouths seeking nourishment. Callista remained still, her soft eyes watching them with an expression of calm acceptance. The staff couldn't believe what they were seeing. The dog who had once barked at stray cats was now nursing 2 lion cubs as if they were her own. The initial moments of tension gave way to an overwhelming sense of relief and gratitude. The sanctuary staff quietly celebrated, marveling at the unexpected bond forming before their eyes. Callista's owners, who had doubted whether their dog would take to the cubs, were moved to tears. Over the next few hours, Callista settled into her new role with surprising ease. She licked the cubs clean after nursing, an act that not only kept them hygienic, but also stimulated their circulation and digestion. Her gentle nudges guided them toward warmth when they whimpered, and she growled softly if anyone approached too quickly, already protective of her new charges. The staff knew they had made the right choice. Callista's maternal instincts had overcome her aversion to cats, proving that compassion and care could transcend species boundaries. In that moment, the sanctuary gained not only a surrogate mother for the cubs, but also a symbol of resilience and unexpected kindness. Over the next few days, her instincts took over with astonishing completeness. She not only nursed the cubs, but also began grooming them meticulously, her rough tongue cleaning their tiny bodies to remove dirt and stimulate circulation. She licked their bellies and faces with a maternal attentiveness, often pausing to ensure they were comfortable and content. Her actions mimicked what their lioness mother, Farah, might have done, filling a void the sanctuary staff feared could never be replaced. At night, Callista curled her body around the cubs, creating a cocoon of warmth and safety. Her thick fur served as a shield against the chill, and the cubs instinctively burrowed into her side. When they whimpered in their sleep, Callista would nuzzle them gently, her soft growls and nudges calming them. Her presence was a lifeline, providing not only physical comfort, but also the emotional security they needed to thrive. The transformation in the lion cubs was nothing short of miraculous. Their once weak cries grew louder and more insistent, signaling their increasing strength. Their bodies, frail and underweight when Callista first arrived, began to fill out, their ribs no longer visible beneath their soft fur. The sanctuary staff marveled at the sight of the lion cubs growing more active, playfully batting at each other with tiny paws, while Callista watched over them with a watchful yet patient gaze. Her interactions with the lion cubs extended beyond care and protection. Callista began playing with them, her large paws moving with extraordinary care to avoid harming their tiny frames. She allowed them to climb over her back, tug on her ears, and chew gently on her tail. The cubs' squeals of delight filled the room as Callista engaged with them, her tail wagging slightly in response to their playful antics. One particularly challenging moment showcased Callista's devotion. When the smaller of the two cubs developed a slight respiratory infection, the sanctuary staff worried it could lead to more severe complications. The tiny cub struggled to breathe at times, its weak body trembling with effort. Callista responded with unwavering attentiveness. She licked the cub constantly, her tongue massaging its chest and sides to stimulate circulation and provide comfort. Callista's warmth and presence seemed to work in tandem with the treatment provided by the sanctuary's vet. The cub, bolstered by her care, began to recover, its breathing steadying over the course of several days. The staff couldn't help but attribute much of the cub's survival to Callista's unwavering dedication, a testament to the power of maternal instinct even across species. The cubs began to explore their surroundings under Callista's watchful eye. When they ventured too far or attempted to climb onto precarious surfaces, Callista would gently herd them back with her nose or block their path with her body. Her actions demonstrated an uncanny understanding of their limits, as if she had been raising lion cubs her entire life. Callista's extraordinary care became the sanctuary's heartwarming highlight. Visitors to the sanctuary are often amazed to witness the faithful German Shepherd dog tenderly caring for two lion cubs. The once fragile cubs now had a fighting chance, and it was all thanks to Callista's love and resilience. The lion cubs, for their part, adored their surrogate mother with unbounded affection. From the moment they woke in the morning, they eagerly searched for Callista, their playful antics starting the day with energy and joy. They followed her everywhere, their tiny paws stumbling over roots, rocks, and each other as they tried to match her steady, measured strides. Callista, ever watchful, would pause periodically to allow them to catch up, her tail wagging slightly in amusement at their clumsy determination. One of their favorite games was to leap at Callista's tail as it swayed while she walked. Despite the tugging and playful bites, Callista remained patient, turning her head occasionally to give a gentle nudge or bark of encouragement. When they tired from their adventures, the cubs would instinctively return to Callista's side, nestling against her warm body. Their soft purrs blended with her rhythmic breathing, creating a peaceful symphony of trust and contentment. Sometimes, Callista would rest her head on one of the cubs, her protective presence a source of reassurance that lulled them into a deep, peaceful sleep. As the weeks turned into months, the cubs began to transition to a more lion-appropriate diet, with the sanctuary staff introducing small portions of meat. Their instincts kicked in quickly, and their excitement over the new meals often led to playful squabbles. Callista, ever the mediator, stepped in with gentle nudges or low growls to restore order, ensuring that both cubs received their fair share. Though she no longer nursed them, her presence during feeding times remained vital, her calm demeanor helping to instill patience and discipline. The cubs' growing confidence brought new challenges. They became bolder in their exploration, venturing farther from their enclosure to investigate the sounds and scents of the sanctuary. Callista followed closely, her watchful eyes scanning for any signs of danger. When one of the lion cubs attempted to climb a low tree, Callista barked softly, pacing beneath the branch until the cub climbed down. Another time, she used her body to block the edge of a shallow pond, preventing an overeager cub from tumbling in. Their mischief often brought unexpected moments of humor. On one occasion, the cubs discovered a pile of fallen leaves and promptly began rolling in it, their tiny bodies disappearing into the rustling mound. Callista stood nearby, her head tilting in bemusement as she watched them play. When one cub emerged covered in leaves, Callista began licking it clean. Each evening, after the cubs had worn themselves out with their antics, she would meticulously clean them, her tongue smoothing their fur and her nose checking for any injuries. The cubs, despite their increasing size, still welcomed this care, leaning into Callista's touch with contented purrs. Even as the cubs grew stronger and more independent, Callista's role as their emotional anchor never wavered. When they encountered new or intimidating situations, such as meeting other animals in the sanctuary, Callista stood firmly by their side, her steady presence giving them the courage to explore. Her patience seemed endless, her love unwavering, as she guided the cubs through the complexities of their environment. As they grew bolder and more mischievous, Callista adapted to their changing needs, balancing discipline with affection. She had become not just a surrogate mother, but also a mentor, teaching the cubs the skills and confidence they would need to thrive as young lions. The bond between Callista and the cubs became a story of inspiration that resonated far beyond the sanctuary's gates. Visitors flocked to witness the extraordinary sight of a German shepherd lovingly raising 2 lion cubs. Children giggled as they watched Callista nudge the cubs playfully or herd them back when they strayed too far. Families marveled at how effortlessly she balanced gentleness and authority, treating the cubs as though they were her own. The story of Callista and the cubs quickly captured the attention of the media. Local journalists visited the sanctuary to document the unusual family, and soon, the tale spread to national and even international news outlets. Videos of Callista grooming the cubs or lying protectively beside them went viral, melting hearts around the globe. People were moved by the sight of such an unexpected connection, and Callista became a symbol of maternal love transcending species boundaries. When the time came for the cubs to transition into a larger habitat with other lions, it was both a joyous and bittersweet moment. The lion cubs, now spirited juveniles with sleek coats and playful energy, had grown into the very image of health and vitality. Their roars, though still youthful, carried a confidence that filled the sanctuary. The staff marveled at their transformation, knowing that Callista's nurturing had been a cornerstone of their survival and growth. The transition wasn't without challenges. The cubs hesitated at first, reluctant to leave Callista's side. They looked back at her frequently as they were led to their new habitat, their low growls carrying a note of uncertainty. Callista, too, seemed to sense the change, pacing near the edge of the enclosure as though offering reassurance from afar. The sanctuary staff, understanding the depth of their bond, arranged for Callista to visit the cubs during their acclimation period. Each reunion was filled with joy, the cubs bounding toward Callista and nuzzling her affectionately. Though they were growing into their lion instincts, their connection to Callista remained evident, a bridge between their past and future. While the cubs gradually adapted to their lion pride, Callista settled into a well-deserved retirement as the sanctuary's honorary hero. She was given a spacious and cozy space near the staff quarters, complete with a soft bed, her favorite toys, and regular visits from her caretakers. Visitors often requested to meet Callista, and she greeted them with her characteristic calm and warmth, her tail wagging as they recounted her story. Callista's extraordinary act of love had not only saved 2 lion cubs, but also touched the hearts of countless people around the world. Her story became a reminder of the power of kindness, resilience, and the ability to nurture life, no matter how unconventional the circumstances. And as the cubs grew into majestic adults, their roars echoing across the sanctuary, they carried with them the indelible mark of a mother's unwavering devotion. After watching this story, do you think helping animals is a great thing? There are many more true stories on the channel for you to enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel to let us know you still love animals and their stories.